Joining me today is Ejide Fashina. She is the national president of NBCFAE, an organization that you need to know more about and their work in the community and industry. So, Ejide, tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you become national president? Your background in the aviation community? How did you get here? We always want to hear those stories.
So I started my career about 17 and a half years ago. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I went to an aerospace high school. It's called Northeast Philadelphia High School, and they had an aerospace program. I'm gonna be honest with you, aviation wasn't my lifelong dream. I went to school for business. I went to Temple University in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And after I finished Temple University, I went into a whole different industry. But I happened to stumble upon air traffic control because I'm an air traffic controller. And I happened
Mhm.
to stumble upon an open announcement looking for air traffic controllers. And I filled out that application, and the rest has been history. And it's been a career that's, I'm super proud of. And it's, just been an amazing journey. And that has led me to want to serve, want to make sure others had the same opportunities that I had to be able to get into the profession and to be enlightened about air traffic control, be enlightened about aviation careers. So that's how I started.
Now, I'm excited to hear that you are an air traffic controller because I think a lot of times we don't think about women and we especially don't think about women of color being in that role. So, what drew you to that particular profession, and what advice would you give to other women who are thinking about it?
Well, honestly, what drew me to the profession, when I saw the open announcement, I saw the potential of the earning salary. So that was like, oh,
Mhm.
let me try and to fill out this application. And air traffic controllers these days can make up to about
Mhm.
224,000. I'm giving a rough estimate out there per year. So that in itself is is an incentive to want to learn to be an air traffic controller, to want to go to the academy and to want to study. So that was honestly my initial draw. But even after that, I was able to get into the industry, start to learn about air traffic control, and then I've excelled over a 17 and a half year career that has taken me so far further than I initially imagined that I would have been at this point in my career. For anybody that's looking to pursue careers in air traffic control or aviation, just know that the sky is not really the limit. It's
Mhm.
honestly, it can be a starting point for you, because just where you start doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up. And that's literally the story of my career. I started out just as an air traffic control trainee, didn't know anything, and I was able to rise to the ranks of FAA as an FAA supervisor in air traffic control facilities, and now I'm based out of FAA headquarters. So it's definitely been an amazing career. I advise everybody to try it, see what it's about, and there's a lot of opportunity, and it can change the overall dynamic of your family, especially from the financial aspect of it.
So, tell me a little bit about NBCFAE, the mission of the organization, and the role that you play in sort of supporting the industry and industry growth.
So the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees has been around since 1976. This year we celebrate our 50th year anniversary, which is amazing, amazing to see the organization, the growth in the organization over a 50 years time frame. But NBCFAE simply, we are a professional organization and is dedicated to strengthening the presence and advancement and leadership of, aviation professionals all across the federal aviation workforce and also the broader aviation industry. And, at our core, NBCFAE exists to ensure that minority aviation professionals are not just navigating their careers alone. We want to make sure that our members have structure, mentorship, advocacy, leadership development, and more importantly, community, because representation in aviation does not sustain itself without intentional support. And that's one thing I have learned over my 17 and a half year career. So I'm the national president. I've been the national president for about a year and a little over a year. And one of the biggest things is that NBC FAE functions as both as a professional pipeline for aviation employees. We help to guide individuals from even their younger years as students, and we, guide people through their entire career. And even after their career is over, we have a large retiree pool that
Mhm.
we keep engaged with, and we also, continue to have them support the organization. So our work really just ensures that opportunity, visibility, and advancement are accessible at every stage of their journey as an aviation professional. So that's at the core of what NBC, FAE is about. And as I said, this is our 50th year anniversary, an amazing, amazing, amazing feat to be able to see 50 years in this industry.
I like the point that you made about supporting people at every point in their aviation careers. So, if you can go into a little bit more detail about maybe what you do to support, college students, what you do to support mid-career professionals, and how you support people who are looking to retire within the industry as well.
Yeah, so with that NBCFAE, we are intentional about meeting people where they are. That's the biggest piece. For students and anybody that's aspiring to come into the industry, we make sure we provide exposure to aviation careers. We give out scholarships. NBCFAE has given
Hmm.
over $1 million
Wow.
in college scholarships over the history of the organization. We offer mentorship to people that are in the industry and people that are looking to get into the industry. And we make sure we just try to give people confidence to know that they belong in this industry. There's room for you in this industry. And that's one of the things that we really, really try to make sure that we push with people that we come across. Additionally, people that are early stages in their career, such as myself, when I started, I had no experience. We offer that networking that leads to real access, professional development, leadership foundations, and just community. I cannot stress that enough. Community is important, and that helps to reduce isolation and burnout, and that's for our early career people. We don't want anybody to ever feel alone, and that's what NBCFAE is about. We are about creating community and giving it a family environment. Then we got the people in our organization that are in their senior years. They're about to retire,
Yes.
looking to retire. I think I'm looking to retire soon.
Hmm.
And we have those that have retired. So, as I said, NBC FAE creates space for those individuals as well. We want to make sure our legacy mentorship is a thing. We try to take that institutional knowledge that a lot of those people have and make sure it's transferred to some of the younger folks, and we just make sure that we're continuing purposes through the next generation. A lot of retirees. Hey, some people just want to go lay on the beach. Some people still want
Right.
to serve, and we give those opportunities for a little bit of both. Hey, you want to go on vacation, but otherwise, hey, we still welcome them at our events, at our conferences, and in such a way. NBC FAE does operate like a career escalator and a bit of a
Right.
net,
Hmm.
of helping to advance professionals forward while just making sure that nobody feels alone and nobody's moving alone throughout their career.
I love that. And I love that you sort of nurture a person all the way through the process. And that's a wonderful
Absolutely.
thing. So let's talk about some of the events, the conferences, the things that people can get if they join the organization.
Yeah, so this, NBC Alpha FAE offers a lot of different things, a lot of different activities. We have aviation academies, which is called ACE. Those are events that we do for students, and we use those events to encourage students to pursue careers in aviation. They're normally from students. Sometimes you see 7 to about 17 years old. We have them all across the country. We also, conduct those academies with other partner organizations like OBAP, which is the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals.
Hmm.
They are an amazing group as well. They're also celebrating their 50th year
Wow.
anniversary, and I'm a member of that organization also. We also have other organizations that exist that we partner with, like the Professional Women's Controller Association,
Hmm.
the Hispanic Coalition for Aviation Excellence. We keep that community going, but we join together to conduct events that expose youth of all races, ages and sexes to careers in aviation. And additionally, for our members specifically, we do conduct events throughout the year. We have a lot of fundraisers. We're doing a casino night fundraiser happening next month in Atlanta, Georgia. That is an event that's been going on for the last 7 years and is used as, even though we want to party sometimes, we make sure we are partying with a purpose. And that event
Yes.
supports scholarships for students. Scholarships are important for NBCFAE. As I said, we have given out over $1 million in scholarships. So we do a lot of fundraising and advocacy for our scholarships. In addition, we have our National Training Conference, which is a huge, huge event. Even though it's our 50th year, we're only celebrating our 48th annual
Mm.
training conference. And everybody's like,
Hmm.
how did that measure? How did that measure up? It's because, hey, we had COVID, so we had to not do one
Right.
that last year, and then, actually last year we paused for a second due to some of the changes that were happening throughout the world. So but this year is our 48th annual national training conference. We will be doing it in New Orleans, Louisiana, August 1st through the 4th. That is one of our signature events.
Hmm.
It's more than just a gathering. It's a career accelerating experience for our
Hmm.
members, and not just our members. We have people that anybody can attend that event. You just register. Attendees normally will get leadership skills, leadership development. They'll have direct access to some people that are within the industry. A lot of networking happens at those events. Even they're able to network with companies such as yours. JMA
Hmm.
Solutions. That's a huge event that you all support us at,
Yes,
and it's really also even giving our retirees a chance to meet with organizations such as yours, so they can network, because people are still looking for
absolutely.
second careers. So the conference is a huge event, but it's a major catalyst for learning, development, networking, and just really meeting people that are not necessarily in your local area, but all across the country. So, and as I said, we do other training events, we do other activities throughout the year. We do even end of last year, we did a lot of food drives, helping
Hmm.
the local community. I mean, we really hone on as an organization about community, about giving back, in addition to giving to our members as well.
So before we close out, can you tell us a little bit more of where people can go to find out information on the organization, how they can join, how they can be part of your events, and even support scholarships and things like that that you do?
So, if anybody wants to join the organization, it is open. You do not have to necessarily be in the aviation industry at this point. We have membership levels for students, retirees. We have associate. We have corporate memberships. We have all different levels of memberships. And you simply can go to our website, which is the NBCFAE.com, and all of the information is on there. The website is pretty extensive. You could flip through the pages. If you want to make a donation to the organization, you could also do that through that particular site. Great, so it's just a great website to kind of get a better feel of what we do as an organization. We also do have a foundation that was recently established for the organization, which is our not-for-profit arm, which is our 501c3. That is in the developmental stages, but that is also another avenue for people that are looking to make tax deductible donations to the organization. So everything that we do is intentional. It's about community, and it's about really just advancing our community at large and people that are interested in aviation careers forward. But one thing I want people to remember, especially when you look at NBCFAE, our organization is continuously making sure we honor the legacy, not just by celebrating the past, but we want to make sure that ensuring excellence remains visible, evolving, and future focused. And that's where we are as an organization right at present day. We make sure that we are preparing our leaders for aviation's next era. The next era is what we have: AI, we have automation, cybersecurity,
Hmm.
all different fields. And, we're just making sure as an organization that we expand our pathways into those, different avenues, making sure that we're involved in policy influence and innovation, so that minorities are not simply included, but that we are strategically positioned at the center of the future of aviation. And that's what we want to make sure that we convey to a prospective member or our current members. So one final word is really just, the goal is not only to really celebrate first, because I'm a first in a lot of different
Right,
areas within
right.
aviation, but we want to make sure that we create conditions where excellence becomes normal, expected, and sustained for everybody. No matter
Hmm.
what you look like, no matter where you sit, it should be sustained for everybody. And that's the overall goal. And that anybody can absolutely do what I do within the industry. You just have to apply yourself, learn the career, and the sky is really not the limit for you.